Everybody, and welcome to my Unruly Housewife channel. Today I am doing a Storytime entry, and it is about the weirdest holiday we ever went on. And it's set in 1970 when I was about 12 years old. My brother was 9, and my mum and dad, there was no internet then, they were trying to look for somewhere to go and stay on holiday. And one of our neighbours, a very normal person we trusted, said, you should go and stay at my parents' friend's guest house in Devon. It's a beautiful thatched cottage. It's near to some, holiday places and beaches and what have you. And it's just a lovely place to stay. So we very trustingly let her phone up and do us a bit of a deal. And we got in our Morris 1000 estate car, and with a South African friend of my mother's who'd come to stay, and we all drove down to Devon, and we arrived at this cottage. So we walked up the front path to the cottage, and it did look like something off the front of a chocolate box. It was beautiful thatched cottage with like old-fashioned English plants in the garden, hollyhocks and things, and it just looked beautiful. And we went up the little winding path towards the house and the cottage, and an old man staggered across the path in front of us with a big china potty. It was full to the brim with brown human urine, and just kind of threw it over the garden and started to walk away. And the the lady whose cottage it was, little old Mrs. Pady, she said, Bert, I've told you not to do that in front of visitors. And we went, oh, okay, this is weird. So, so anyway, we went inside the cottage, and to our amazement, Mrs. Pady showed us our rooms. And there was only one bathroom upstairs for everyone to share, and there were other guests staying as well. And she showed us our rooms, and they were like toilet doors, like wooden doors with a big latch on, and those metal latches. There was no way to like lock your door or anything like that. And the rooms looked okay, although my mum did notice that there was like brown spots on the sheets. Oh dear. Anyway, so that was us arriving. And yeah, we met the little dog, Kelpie. The woman had like a little sort of Westie, or I forget what kind of dog it was. It was a little yappy dog. It was quite cute. And we met Mr. Pady, who he had such a strong West Country accent that my dad spent the whole of the holiday avoiding him as much as possible, just because he couldn't understand a word he was saying. He was like, oh, arrow. My dad was just like, what is he saying? And just kept avoiding him. So that was our arrival. And then we went out for the day. We went out to a pub or somewhere in the evening, had something to eat, and we came back, and we started our first night in the thatched cottage. So when we were staying, I was in one room with a South African friend of my mother's, and my mum was in a room with her and my dad and my brother. She decided to have a look around in the room, and my brother pulled a drawer. There was like a little chest of drawers. My brother pulled on the knobs of the drawer, and it fell open, and it was a commode. So I was like, we're not using that. And anyway, everyone went to bed and settled down to sleep. In the middle of the night, my mum heard a crunching noise, and she left a packet of biscuits open, like in a bag, and like a little wicker bag thing that she had, and she'd left it open on the floor. So she said, Bob, I think we've got mice. So, like nudging my dad. My dad's Bob, by the way. Bob, I think we've got mice. So she flicked the light on as quickly as possible, like the bedside lamp, and there was a massive cockroach sitting crunching the biscuit. So my mum claims that she had never seen a cockroach before in her life, so she was absolutely horrified. Got her stiletto and shoe and killed this cockroach, and flicked it onto the floor, just went, oh, sort of wrapped the biscuits up so they wouldn't attract any more wildlife, and turned the light off. And then she heard another crunching. So she thought, oh no, what's this? I've wrapped up the biscuits, and she turned the light on again, and there was a second cockroach eating the dead body of the first cockroach. At which point my mum just said, that's it, I'm not sleeping. She like sat up in bed. And I mean, my mum smoked in those days. She smoked a little bit, but she didn't smoke in bed. She just sat in bed for the rest of the night, chain smoking, making my dad look out for cockroaches. So in the morning, my mum comes out with this cockroach corpse wrapped in a tissue, and she shows the South African friend, and she goes, what are you worried about? I can't do a South African accent, but I'm going to try, you know me. So she said, what are you worried about, Brenda? I have those running around in my cutlery drawer. I was like, yeah, that's you. I'm not you. I've never even seen one. She took it downstairs, and she showed it to Mrs. Pady, like furiously, like, look what I found in my room. And she says, it's a cockroach. They like that room. They go behind the wallpaper. So my mum was like, oh God, can't we have a different room? She said, no, like they were completely full up. But anyway, she promised that she would deal with it. And we went out. Anyway, when we got back, we went up to the room, and my mum could see all around the corners and edges of the room and everything. This woman had pumped this stuff, and I think it's called diatraumatic. I don't know, but it's called, it's like Fuller's Earth, but it's diatraumatic earth. What it's called, I'll put it down in the description what it's called. And it's basically this is white powder. It's harmless to humans, which I know now, but we didn't know then. But it's death to all insects. So she'd pumped this white powder all around the room and around the edges and things, which my mum was, slightly happy about, but a bit weirded out because it looks horrible. But when she opened our suitcases, she pumped it in the suitcases with all our clothes as well, which my mum wasn't as happy about. Yeah. So, I mean, Mrs. Pady was lovely. I mean, we caught fish. One day we went on like a touristy kind of mackerel fishing trip, and she cooked all the fish for our dinner. She was a lovely person, but she just had different ideas about things than we did. What else? Oh, yeah. So sometimes Mum and Dad weren't very rich, and sometimes they wanted to just grab something cheap to eat while we were out, and then thought we can just go back to where we're staying and watch some TV and stuff before bed. And so that's what we set out to do. But when we got in the room, the living room, the guest living room, there was no telly. There's a big Victorian sort of what they call a grandfather clock. It's just got a tick tock tick, like really showing you how slowly time was passing. And there was a big glass display case full of those hideous kind of Victorian China dolls that look like they're in a horror film. Like some of them had teeth. So I spent quite a lot of time scaring my brother, telling him stories about those. And me and my dad spent a lot of time reading this, A Dustbin of Milligan, which is like a stories and poems by Spike Milligan, like quite surreal stuff. But imagine trying to amuse, before mobile phones and computer games, imagine trying to amuse a 12-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy in a room without even a telly every evening on holiday. So that was quite funny, but at the time quite boring. Other guests. Okay, so there was a man who was a resident at Mrs. Pady's farmhouse. Oh, no, it's not a farmhouse, cottage. And his name was Humphrey Hicks. And he was an absolute, like, eccentric. He was an English eccentric gentleman. And he used to spend about 3/4 of an hour in the evening out in the hallway on the phone going, hello, 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 hello. Never had a conversation, just did that quite a lot. So my dad is like he's one of those like miserable dads from a sitcom. Sitting there going, oh, I've had enough of this. Oh, shut up. And then Humphrey came in and he was like, oh, you see all these antimacassars, which are basically those like embroidered things that you have over the back of chairs to stop hair oil. See those antimacassars? I embroidered those, every one of them. And my dad went, did ya? My daddy used to be like a dockyard apprentice. He's like, did you, mate? Oh, okay, well done. And then he said, I was in a car crash once. And it was like flying to heaven. We went, wow, okay. And then he said, I've played croquet in front of the Queen. Are you interested in croquet, Bob? My dad's like, not really, no, not a lot of call for it on Sheppy. Where you come from. But Humphrey was, he was quite a character. And I'm going to return to him at the end of the story because I've done a bit of research since then. Other people staying. So there was some really weird looking old man staying, like a tramp. He was staying there, and right at the end of the holiday, the very last night we were there, we sort of must have heard each other's voices, like on the landing, and we were all kind of going to loo, getting ready for bed, popping in and out to each other with things because we were packing to go home and stuff. And we all ended up walking out onto the landing at the same time. There was a woman standing there, and she looked like a Barbie doll. This beautiful young blonde woman in a pink negligee and a little frilly pink matching see-through dressing thing. And we all just went, and she said, I'm not a ghost, I am staying here. You all look so surprised. And she was so completely out of keeping with everything else there. It was really funny. So yeah. Last thing, before we went to go home, while we were all getting ready, my dad was ready so early that he said to Mrs. Pady, can I take little Kelpie, your little dog, for a walk? And she said, yeah, of course. And he said, he's such a lovely little dog, And he put Kelpie on the lead and he started going down this kind of windy Devonshire, country lanes. And an old man was coming the other way and sort of going along. Looked a little bit unusual, like a lot of the locals. And Kelpie was pulling at the lead, really, really pulling. So my dad thought, oh, he must know him. So my dad's like looking around across the road. And as soon as he got up to the old man, Kelpie's like, rah! I tried to bite the old man on the leg. Oh my God. So anyway, so that was our holiday in Devon. Many, many long hours sitting in the sitting room listening to the clock. Some fun days out. Devon's a really great place to go. But yeah, a very unusual place to stay. Now, I said I'd get back to Humphrey Hicks. You can Google Humphrey Hicks croquet if you like, even just Humphrey Hicks, I think. And you will find out that in 2008, Humphrey was inducted into the World Croquet Association Hall of Fame. He's dead now, bless his heart. He died in, I think it was 1986, and he was 82 or something. I think I'm remembering it right. But he is widely regarded as one of the best croquet players the world has ever known. And so yeah, he was a character. It was an honour to meet him, and it was really weird because I just thought I'd Google it just to see if I could find anything about him playing croquet in front of the Queen. And yeah, I'm honoured. So it was a weird and wacky holiday, but we met the best croquet player, one of the best croquet players the world has ever known. And that is the end of my story. If you enjoyed this, do like, subscribe, leave any comments or questions down below, and maybe tell me about some of the weird things that have happened to you when you've been on holiday. Thank you for watching. Love you all. Bye.